Good morning. I'm doing a little video today about bending silicone molds and not having this happen, because this is what I did to one of them. No matter what you do, a silicone mold will eventually crack if it's flexed too much. And there are different types of silicone. This is it's kind of sticky, like it sticks to itself. And since this is a two-piece press, every time you stick it together to get the impression and you peel it off, it kind of resists. And one day this happened. And I can still use this part of it, so it's not a huge deal, but it's just irritating. And this is a mold from First Impressions, and they have some nice, really deep impression molds, but you really have to flex it to get it out. And this is kind of the same thing as this white stuff. This type of silicone, I think this is a poured silicone, and the pourable ones feel kind of springier, for lack of a better term, and they feel like there's a kind of a sticky texture to it. So you have to really flex it, and after a while it's going to crack. I've got a crack there. There's a crack right there. See, there's really nothing you can do. If you bend a mold too much, there's one starting there, you're just going to have to be careful because eventually it'll crack. And it's the same thing with the pearl molds. Like eventually you open it up and close it so much that the inside part of it starts to crack. And there's really, it's just the nature of silicone. Nothing lasts forever. So the silicone that I use is a two-part, it's not a pourable, it's a two-part putty. And you can get this kind of stuff at, different brands make it. You can get it at the craft store, or you can buy it from me. I have it in my shop. But it makes a mold that's a little firmer. It doesn't have that same kind of sticky texture. It's weird. It's like a tacky feeling on the poured silicones. And if you've ever used silicone molds, you know what I'm talking about. This feels drier and it's a little stiffer, but it can still rip. If you see, this is a pretty deep one. Oops, drop it. This is a pretty deep one. If you start flexing this too much, it's going to tear. No matter what you do, you can tear a silicone mold. So I'm going to tilt this down. And the way to avoid that is to overfill the mold. Keep the mold down flat on the counter, which is good because then you can press it in. All right, overfill it a little bit so it has like a little cone. Then grab this and pull it straight out. And there you have your flower. And then you take the scissors and cut it off. All right, so I didn't have to flex the mold at all. This only works if you're using a pretty stiff gum paste though. So if you have a fondant that's real soft and it's going to stretch, that's not going to work that well. So you might have to add some cornstarch to it. Just knead in some cornstarch and that'll stiffen it up. But that gives you a nice flower and you didn't have to flex the mold and your mold will last longer. So that's my tip for the day. And if you want to see my molds, go to my website and I'll leave the link in the description. Leave me any questions, and I will answer them when I get a chance. And don't flex your silicone molds because they'll tear. It's sad.